Hello everyone, welcome back to the channel. Let's continue implementing the core UI for our application. As another correction, I'm going to delete this folder of routing or router because we're not going to need it here actually in the core UI nor core module. We're going to use it in the onboarding folder that we will define by the end of the tutorial. So now let's focus on building the components. So here in core UI, I'm going to create a new folder. I'm going to call it components. First one, it's going to be called the header. So it's going to be a view file. As you can see here, the header is going to consist of an image. It's going to be the logo, search input, and it's going to be an autocomplete search input, as well as the toolbar. It's a code snippet for TypeScript components under the style of API composition. First things first, let's start by defining the div that's going to contain everything. I prefer to do everything contained in the view file. So header container, and I'm gonna add elevation, the width of the div, and I'm going to introduce a section here. As you can see here, it's going to be mainly for the text with animation. So the section is going to have another div. Class is going to be responsible for animating the typing. So I'm going to call it type writer. It's going to be big caret and animated text width. Here I'm going to use again the constants file that we have defined before. Let's add here a new key, the welcome text. We're going to use this here constants from core UI, and we'll access the welcome text. To the animation that's going to be played, it's going to be a Lottie animation. So for this, we're going to add a new component, and I'm going to call it Lottie player. Let's start with the template and see what are the dependencies that we will need. So going to define a div, and this is according to the documentation of Lottie. This is the container that will be where we're going to place our Lottie animation. For just customization purposes, let's call it Lottie container. So as I said, I prefer to do everything contained in one component. So I'm going to add here some styling, which is basically scoped styling. I'm going to specify the width for the image that's going to be animated with 100%. The height is going to be 100%. I'm going to deactivate all the pointer events. On mounted, it's going to be here a callback function. So in order to access the container, we need to define the reference. So it's going to be called Lottie container, and it will be a reference because div is an HTML element, and it's going to be nullable. Create another variable. It's going to be the animation. So when the Lottie player view, our custom components, is ready, we're going to run this code. And again, this Lottie container is the same as this, and we have to check if this Lottie container is not null. We will animate the animation basically. So we're going to create the animation Lottie.load animation, and we have to configure this function. First one is going to be the container. The second one is going to be, we're going to render an SVG file. Animation is going to keep playing over and over again. Autoplay, and the animation data, which consists of the animation data. We're not going to hard code it here. We're going to make our Lottie player reusable. I'm going to create here an interface. I'm going to call it props. Properties of our Lottie player components, or our custom Lottie player components. So we only need animation data as a parameter. It's going to be of type object. Define the props, and it's going to be of type props. So this is basically a generic manner how to define props in a component Vue.js. So here we're going to do props.animation data. For cleanup purposes, we're going to do on before unmount. We're going to destroy basically the Lottie player. A very good practice, if you will. Our Lottie player is ready to go. We're going to use it here in the header. As a prop, it's going to have the animation data. We will import the image from the assets folder. So it will be animated illustration. And we would like to place the animation in the top right corner of our screen. And it has to be adaptive. For example, in the small screen, we would like to make this animation disappear because it's going to look ugly when we are going to display our application in a mobile phone or in a phone screen, for example, or in a smaller screen in general. So I'm going to add here a class. I'm going to call it Vuetify. So I'm not sure about the naming conventions, classes and whatnot, so I'm going to write it this way. We have a small mistake here. I'm going to place this one, not in the section, but in the parent div. Row in Vuetify is defined by v row, no gutters, find a colon. In this colon, we will have a row. So now we are basically trying to make the top section of the header. Align center, comment here, logo goes here. Let's create our logo. It's going to be a custom component. So in order to define an event in Vue, we're going to do const emit equal define emits. And this is the event that we will attach to our components. I'm going to call it onClick. Inside the logo, I'm going to add a container. And whenever we click on this container, we will invoke onClick. So the whole thing is going to be clickable. And the height of this container, auto, the width 140. I guess I'm going to delete this one here. So for the height, 120 pixels, cursor pointer, just to simulate it like it's a button. So it's going to be an image. Let's do some styling for the image. So let's come back to the header. So here I'm going to do logo, on click, and we would like to, whenever we click on this particular logo, it's going to navigate to the home screen. I'm going to use Vue router. We will do router push. We won't be hard coding the destinations. So for this purpose, I have created the constant here. Screens, home screen, home screen. The name of the route, it's going to be constants, screens, and home screen. We're going to talk about slots and dynamic slots. So here I'm going to put this search view inside a slot, but it's going to be named one, search input. Whatever we are doing here, it's going to be for the search input. Create another column. It's going to occupy only for a named slot. Let's call it toolbar. So in a generic way, we are creating a header component that's going to have the logo, the search input, and the toolbar. So now we have to define to style our components because we have some classes that we have to customize. So I'm going to create here scoped style. I think that's pretty much it for the header. It was very overwhelming with a lot of stuff. So I hope you liked the video. See you in the next one. Happy coding.